Today, we're going to be taking a look at how we can turn any event on a control and turn it into an MVVM command. So tune in so you can MVVMify anything. Hey everyone, I'm James Montemagno. I am back with another Xamarin 101 video. I'm really excited because I talked about this a few weeks ago when we were taking a look at how to MVVMify the ListView in Xamarin.Forms. Now, I love the Xamarin.Forms ListView, and I love a lot of the other controls like the collection view, but one of the kind of main problems that I often have is there's not enough commands built in. There's a lot of events, which means like I can register and unregister events, like when an item is selected or an item is tapped. But really, I want to MVVMify that. I want to data bind those events into a command. So taking an event and turning it into a command. Well, luckily for us, we can do this with any single event in Xamarin.Forms. In fact, there are amazing libraries out there from the Xamarin Community Toolkit that has everything built in. So this is really cool. So we're going to hop over and take a look. Now, if you remember, we've been building out our coffee application, and what we have right here is the list of coffees, okay? And if you remember from the previous episode, and if you don't, I'll put it up over there in that corner. Make sure you, of course, subscribe so you see all the episodes over here. But we MVVMify the list view. So we did a lot of things such as getting rid of the selected item and tapped events. And we did some data binding. So here we said whenever the item is selected, so tapped on basically, go ahead and data bind that to the selected coffee property in the view model. So if we go back over here, we can see that here it is, selected coffee, and it's a two-way data bind. So it goes from the UI to the UI and back and forth to the view model. So what happens here is if the value is not null, I simply pop up this box here that says you've tapped on it. I store out the value, then I immediately set it to null. So I'm deselecting it right away. So it's kind of like, removing that tapped event that I needed inside of it. And then what I do is I set the selected coffee here. So when it queries the current value, it's null. And I say the property has changed. So I'm getting the event and I'm sending an event right back right away that says, hey, go do this. But if we actually look at this, this is actually kind of not the greatest code because I am calling an asynchronous method here and I'm not awaiting on it. And I can't really await on it. I could do a .result, which is terrible. I have another video that says don't ever do that. But I can't await on it because this is a property. So the ideal solution is to turn this into a command. And we can do that with event to command converters and things like that. Now, I mentioned earlier the Xamarin Community Toolkit. The Xamarin Community Toolkit is absolutely awesome. It's a collaboration with the Xamarin community and the Xamarin development team, building out all sorts of awesome things that you may need in your Xamarin applications. So for example, you may need some behaviors, all sorts of behaviors. The one we're going to look at today is event to command. There's all sorts of converters. Every time you need to do an int to bool, inverted boolean, is not null, tapped event arguments, effects such as safe area, extensions like image resource and translate extensions, helper methods, object models, and of course, awesome views like an avatar view, camera view, dock layout, expander, lazy view, media element, range slider, shields, all these awesome things. There's all sorts of awesome videos on the Xamarin show with Gerald and the community members that are building this that I'll link to. But we are going to take a look at this thing up here in the behaviors called event to command. And as the name implies, it turns any event into a command, which is really cool. So they have some examples here. This one, for example, is turning the clicked event into a my custom command. Now you wouldn't really want to do this because a button already has a command on it. So for example, down here, they say, well, what about a list view? Literally the case that we're going to do today, which is what about the item selected event? Well, here you can say use an event to command behavior. And when this event is fired, call this item selected command. And in fact, on top of that, you can pass down arguments using the item selected event args converter that will take those selected event arguments and turn them into a coffee, for example. So let's go ahead and do that. Inside of our code, what we would want to do is not write all this code in here. We're going to remove this. We're going to say set property ref to the selected coffee and pass in the values. So now it's just a normal property, okay? We're going to stop debugging too. Just a normal property like we would expect. But what we're going to do now is come up and here, let's go ahead and call this selected, okay? And now, just like when we favorite, it'll go ahead and check to see if the coffee is null. And then down here, we'll say selected. It'll pop up the name of the coffee. Proper async await here. So we can go ahead and then copy and paste this around, and we'll call this the selected command. Okay. And then down over here, we'll say selected command, and this will be selected. There we go. So now, whenever we want to do the selected command, it's going to come in and do the right thing. So it's going to say selected coffee, coffee, bingo, bango, we're good to go. Now let's head over into our XAML. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that we have the Xamarin Community Toolkit installed. It's a NuGet. It's available right now, version 1.02 as time of recording. It came out with Xamarin.Forms 5, and you need Xamarin.Forms 5. It uses the latest and greatest features. But here it is, 102, and I've installed it into all my projects, okay? Just Xamarin.Community Toolkit, right from Microsoft. Then what we can do is, I love how they did this. I have this copied over here. For the namespace, you don't need to reference any of the DLLs or assembly. How it works is they have this global namespace, which is really cool. Just like Xamarin.Forms has a global namespace here too. So here's the toolkit full one right here, which is really, really cool. So then what we're able to do is come down into our list view. Let's go ahead and zoom here. List view dot behaviors. Okay. And your list view can have all sorts of different behaviors inside of it. So now we can say XTC, Xamarin, Community Toolkit. There we go. And we're going to do an event to command behavior. The event name is going to be item selected, just like we had before. Then we can say command, and that command is going to be a binding to our selected command. All right, very cool. Now at this point, this will call that command, but we also need to have the parameter that is passed in automatically be this coffee. So what you can do over in this event is register something called a event Arg Converter. And this will then know how to convert your argument to the very specific item that you want. And this takes a static resource to a converter, but luckily for us, this is a converter that is built into the Xamarin Community Toolkit. So I literally just kind of copied and pasted this over from the documentation, but I'll go through it really quick. Inside of our resource dictionary, so this could be colors, it could be strings, it could be anything, we're going to say we would like to create a new item selected event args converter. There's also an item tapped event args converter, or you can use your own. Source code's available, very simple. Here's a key, so we can reference it by key. So then down here, that's the key. These two things line up here. So in fact, even if I just do the key here, it's going to ask for the key, and that key is going to be this one right here. Okay. So what we have, let's recap it again, is item selected. That's the event name. It's going to go call the selected command and then pass in the item selected event args converter. All right. So when that happens, instead of just doing all that gobbledygook inside of our parameter, which is no good, or our property back here, it's going to call item selected. So let's go ahead and add a tap here. All right. So we'll compile this puppy up. It's going to do the same thing that it did before, if all is good and working as I would assume, and pop up a display alert dialog over here. So let's go ahead and get our application up and running. Here's our coffee. Tap on one here. Look at that. It automatically called the code right here. And we get a coffee back over here too. So immediately now we have this coffee. I can go ahead and see what the name is, the Kenya, and I can go ahead and continue on. Boom. Now it's there. Now I know what you're saying, James. Oh my goodness, it is still selected. We want it to not be selected. That's a great point. So we can do a few things here. And I actually just did a pull request to the Community Toolkit to fix this sort of unselect issue. There's a workaround here, is because if we come here and say selected coffee equals null, there's sort of a problem right now, is that the converter says if it's null, throw an exception, because it won't know how to convert it to this coffee. Well, we can get around that actually by simply saying, just pass me an object. Just give me anything. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't even care. Give me an object. It's going to be great. And we'll say args here. So now in our selected command, instead of passing in the coffee, what we're going to do is just give it an object to say, give me anything. And what we can do is say var coffee equals args as coffee. So this is very similar to like what the item selected used to be behind the scenes, to say, oh, if it's null, just go ahead and not give me anything. So check this out. So now that we have this as an object instead of a coffee, we're going to cast it ourselves locally. What I can do is now debug it again and set it automatically to null before I do the pop-up, so it'll deselect it. And that's going to work because if you remember, we still have our selected item with a two-way data binding. So it's still going to work because we have that set up. All right, we have this up and running again. I'm going to go and tap on it. Again, notice that I do get my coffee. My args are coffee that are passed to me. I'm going to go ahead and now I hit continue, and it actually sent me again something else. And this is where it would have thrown the exception, because when I set it to null, it doesn't know that it's an object, so it doesn't know how to cast it correctly. So what it does now is it simply comes in and it gives me these selected event arguments. So it couldn't cast it correct before because it doesn't know what null is. And since we just say, give me any object, it continues to work. But this won't do anything because it's null. So now if I continue on, the first time it got called, boom, it's going to be there. Okay. So we can actually see how this works. Tap on this. It's not null. So it has this thing. It's going to deselect it while that pops up. So it's all this kind of order of operation that's going on. So it triggers it to null, pops it back up, and we're good to go. So now you don't get any weird, things in the code behind. You don't get anything in that property that's inside of here, and you don't get any selected event. You get the same thing that you get before, but just like that, it's with pure MVVM goodness right into your code. Well, to be honest, that's really all that I have for you today. It's a nice, short, quick one, but I love event to command because it really sort of shows the flexibility of MVVM and what you can do with converters and behaviors and all this good stuff built directly into Xamarin.Forms and XAML and MVVM. Now, I just sort of took a peek at event to command because it's really, really powerful. And it's only one of the hundreds of features in the Xamarin Community Toolkit. I'm not going to go through everything in the Xamarin Community Toolkit because we're building this app and we'll probably use some stuff in the Xamarin Community Toolkit, but I will link to some episodes of the Xamarin Show where Gerald, like I said earlier, is going through all the features, just like I've done previously on the Xamarin Developer YouTube for Xamarin Essentials. So I hope that you really enjoyed sort of this sneak peek into some of the advanced features that you can do. Hope that you check out all my previous episodes on Xamarin 101. And more than anything, if you really enjoyed this video, there's a few things that you could do for me. You could first give it a thumbs up. That helps the YouTube magical algorithm to recommend this video to other people. And of course, you can hit subscribe and ding that notification bell. Subscribes obviously help subscribers grow the channel. Notification bell right there, when you ding that, you'll get an alert whenever I release a new video here on this channel. And don't forget that I also Twitch stream every single Friday at twitch.tv/JamesMontemagno. And I upload all those videos also here. I've been building out a clone of the Peloton application fitness app, which is really, really cool. So I hope you take a look at those in the playlist available here right on this channel. If you have any questions, leave comments below, and thanks for watching.